today we're reviewing
Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Into the darkness, we are one. Into the darkness.
So Avengers: Age of Ultron is about the Avengers that Thor has come back to visit for a little bit. All the Avengers are hanging out. They're taking out Hydra in the beginning of the movie, but then Tony Stark sees the vision of that all the Avengers dead because of Thanos coming in, so he wants to create something to try to save humanity. He wants to create a new thing, but it ends up Ultron turning evil, and that's basically the plot of the movie.
I mean, this is probably one of my favorite movies. I know a lot of people, for some reason, didn't like this movie because of a weak villain, which I don't think was a weak villain at all. I thought he was fine. I guess at that time, they were kind of hyping it up a little too much. But I mean, there really isn't anything that failed, for me at least, in this movie when I'm thinking back about it. I guess I could say there's a couple of parts that are confusing, like the whole thing with Thor, but that's meant to be a little confusing because it gets answered later on.
So my initial thoughts, this is my top 2 favorite movies of all time, at least in the MCU. Because I love seeing the Avengers together. So my positives, Ultron, who people really didn't like, which I understand if you see the first trailer. He looks like he's about to friggin' kill everybody, and then he obviously has jokes in the movie, but Ultron, I walked out of the movie really happy with Ultron. I really liked him, and he's one of my favorite villains. He's above Loki to me, and he's definitely one of the top villains, but the action's really good. The acting is all around good, like I said before. I like the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver characters that are introduced. There's a lot of memorable fight scenes, like with Hulk and Hulkbuster, and the end fight scene in the city. But what are some?
There's a lot of definitely the fight sequence is really good. I mean, it starts out like right into the action when they're taking out that one base.
The beginning.
Not only the fight between Hulk and Hulkbuster, but there was. Also, just at the end, that one team shot, that was probably the best team shot, I guess, team fighting shot, really. So I definitely say the acting's really good. The action scenes are probably the best out of any of the movies, really, in my opinion. I liked how they combined the two that they were originally fighting against, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, and then they joined the team at the end. It was also, like, Vision, how they created him. That was kind of, not confusing, but just a new character being introduced.
One of my favorite scenes from the movie was when Vision lifts Thor's hammer.
So there may be no way to make you trust me, but we need to go.
Right. Well done.
That was obviously, I think that's the best scene in the movie because it says so much. They don't know if they can trust Vision. And when he lifts his hammer and gives it to him, that solves in like hours, days, and weeks of them seeing if they can trust him. Because if he can lift it, they can trust him. So everything's answered in like 2 seconds.
This is probably my favorite end credit scene out of all the movies. Just the way you see Thanos really for the first time, like, moving, I think. I don't think he's ever moving before that.
I'm positive. The flashbacks they have, or the dream sequences, obviously people say it's all setting up for sequels, but that's really not true. Captain America's was just going back and seeing how he was with Peggy Carter and how that didn't happen. And then Black Widow, that was exploring her past.
So the negatives for me, it's just kind of a section of the movie. It's when they go to Hawkeye's home. It's kind of just an area where it just kind of slows down a little too much for me. It's not that I don't like Hawkeye. It's out of all the options of who to be exploring the backstory of, I'd probably rather see somebody else. So it's not bad. It's just kind of just slowed down the movie a little bit for me. My only other negative really was just when I saw this movie originally, I had a bad experience in the theater, and just kind of ruined what I thought of the movie until I've seen it a few times after, and I like it a lot more.
Yeah, someone spilled Skittles on him walking out of the movie.
There was someone who was annoying me from behind our seats, and then at the end they spilled Skittles behind my seat. It was like a waterfall going down the seats. It affected, then when the end credit scene was happening, I was like already walking out because I was already mad at the people behind me. Yeah. So it wasn't the movie that I was mad at, it was just the people that were behind me.
Yeah, I think a negative for me is the fact that Ultron, the thing that I hope they're going to do with Thanos, I'm guessing, is the fact that I really wish there was a fight between where Ultron was going around, and I wish, honestly, I wish he was going around fighting him more. Like, I wish he had his final form was fighting more with the actual Avengers and not just his army. But another thing is, I wish Ultron would have killed Quicksilver with his laser powers, because a lot of people say the Quinjet killed him, but if he would have just used his light, his lasers, the light would have traveled fast enough to kill him, and I feel like that would have been a better way to kill him. But obviously, the fact that he was killed, that all was done really good. But I wish that he would have killed him with his actual suit or something, and made Ultron look tougher instead of him just using the Quinjet to kill him. But
So basically, that was our positives and negatives of the movie. And for me, like I said, there really aren't any negatives. There's just one part where the movie's kind of like slowed down for me. And then there's a little bit confusing parts, but I have to give this a 9.7 out of 10. Almost 9.8, but just that slow part, a couple confusing parts, and that overall movie experience that I had takes it down 0.3, so I'll give it a 9.7 out of 10.
Well, honestly, his negative about the farm thing, I didn't really see that. I mean, I
just thought it was just
I know,
it slowed down the story.
I honestly didn't affect me as much, because the fact they had that thing between Captain America and Iron Man, and then Nick Fury came in, and then the different stuff about them, like Black Widow and Bruce Banner talking, I just thought that didn't really affect me as much, which is why, if that was the only negative we found, it's not really a negative to me, so I have to give this a 10 out of 10, because, I mean, it's one of my top 2 favorite movies of all time. It's the Avengers. The action's really good, and everything is just... The villain is, like, one of my favorite villains, so...
I mean,
what do you think about it?
I mean, no, it's just if I would have had a better movie experience, this might be a 10. It's just that
well,
really,
you gave it 9.7, so I'm not saying you hated it.
This was our quick review of Avengers: Age of Ultron, and just a quick recap. I gave it a 9.7 out of 10.
I gave it a 10 out of 10. No.
And then the next movie is Ant-Man.
We're only 2 weeks away from Black
2
Panther,
weeks,
so...
really 1 week away.
So 2 more movies until we review...
Basically a week and a half till Black Panther.
Yeah, so that's only 2 more movies until we do
for an
our
actual like
regular
spoiler and
review
non-spoiler review,
yeah.
not a quick review. And we'll see you guys in the next movie review. Bye guys.